some of those benefits we're going to talk about is the car grant. And yes, you can get a car grant from the VA. We're going to talk about home improvements or adaptive housing. Then we're going to shift gears and talk about a separation health assessment and what does that actually look like, whether it's an exit exam from the DOD or a separation health exam from the VA. And then we're going to talk about a very, very popular benefit that I would argue everyone gets wrong all the time, which is the clothing allowance. And a ton of veterans do qualify for it, but then a ton of veterans don't submit the paperwork or the required claim for the allowance. So we're just really leaving money on the table. And with that, Jason, go ahead and kick it off.
All right, awesome. So, it's really coming down to grants and allowances, extra money in your pocket. And I will tell you, and I think we both say this all the time, Clay, it's in one way or another, is we are literally trying to prevent the I wish I would have known, right? It's too many times that both of us have seen, right? That, the person that's like, oh, I could have used this 15, 30, 25, whatever years ago. And so now we're trying to just get as far upstream as we can with this information. As far as the role and what we're going to be going through today, Clay threw in there the separation what?
It's the separation health assessment, and then you also have the adaptive housing. So there are two acronyms that go like this.
And there's also, so the separation health assessment is another SHA. There is an SHA that's called the special home adaptation. And so that is one that I want to dive into. If you have anything on the health assessment, or if you're kind of calling it the same thing, I'm not quite sure. So let me know which way, because I'd love to be able to either separate it out or include it in.
Let's do both.
Okay, perfect. Let's lead off with you with the separation health assessment, because if you're still in, you need to be prepared for that. And then we'll move into all of these additional resources with regard to grants and allowances. All right, so back to you, Clay.
All right, so the separation health assessment, it's kind of the starting point, all right? So traditionally, prior to the BDD claim, the DOD did an exit exam, right? So all of my peers, and I'm sure your peers and everyone before us, all did an exit exam, or we were supposed to, right?
That's
that's the key point. What the VA has now done, I say now within the last few years, is they made an agreement with the DOD that says, hey, if veterans submit a BDD claim, which is benefits delivery at discharge, we will take care of the separation health assessment. And that really leads into these other benefits. One of the most common claimed disabilities that would rate one of these benefits is a skin condition, right? So if you're doing your separation health assessment, you're doing your BDD claim, you get rated for acne, right? Or scarring or whatever skin condition like eczema. Any of those that would require a cream, that cream would bleach your pillows, it would bleach your sheets, it would bleach your clothes, and therefore you would rate the annual clothing allowance. And so the separation health assessment is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of step one to, hey, here's how you're going to be rated. And now we're going to take it to, well, after you're rated, what benefits do you are you eligible for? Is it a car grant? Okay. Is it a adaptive home? Is it whatever that looks like? So that's really the starting point, the separation health assessment, the SHA, and not to be confused with the other SHA or the other SAH. All right, Jason.
Exactly. Perfect. So again, what we're doing here is we're front loading this with, look, you need to make sure you get service connected before you can really start to peel back the onion to these other types of benefits within the VA, which again can be substantial. Like Clay said, up to $117,000 in some cases. So this is not money that you want to leave on the table if you qualify for it. I will add one more thing to the conversation of the essentially the exit health separation health assessment. When you joined, you did a health assessment. When you were in, you typically would do an annual physical health assessment. Then when you're exiting, like Clay said, you should right? And I know there's plenty of you out there that did not and are wondering why you didn't, but that's, I guess, par for the course. However, what I always suggest everybody to do, because sometimes we're talking to people who have already been out. If you've already been out and you've been out for a while, you may not remember if you even did one. Order all of your records, all of your service treatment records. Do that with the SF 180, standard form 180. I always think of 180 as it's half of 360, so I'm turning around and looking backwards. So SF 180, looking back, go get those records, right? You can order that. The backlog is now cleared, so hopefully it won't take more than several months. Get those records, thumb through them, because if you annotated on there that you have migraines, or you have this, or you have that, or symptoms of this, or symptoms of that. It's you self-attesting to a lot of this stuff, and you write down your little explanation of why it's an issue. But that's your nexus, right? That helps you prove your nexus for that condition. So it's just kind of a good little side note, and really a public service announcement at this point for folks. So I'm glad that you included that in on this, Clay, because it's important for folks to understand, and it really does kind of become applicable as we move through this. So with that, let's jump into the first major topic, and I'm thinking the VA automobile allowance and adaptive equipment is a good place to start. People always are curious how they can qualify for that. Clay, what do you have on it?
Yeah, so the most, we'll start with the typical veteran that would qualify for that. But that typical veteran that would qualify is actually extremely rare. But it would set the framework for understanding who would qualify. So, for instance, if you have a double amputee, that would be an allowance for a car grant to adapt your car to be able to hit the brake and hit the gas, right? And so that framework basically means your disabilities caused you to have some sort of adaptation to that vehicle. So amputee obviously is going to be at the top of that list, but that's not the only veteran, right? It could be the loss of use. And so, for instance, if you have an ankle condition that has severe limited range of motion, that's not severe. Severe would be like this, okay? If you have severe limited range of motion or the loss of use, which is called ankylosis, that would be a disability that would help you qualify for this benefit and many, many others. And there are tons of conditions for the car. So the ankles, the knees, basically your entire legs and below, all of that would also be a good benefit or
Mm-hmm.
disability for that benefit, excuse me. But it could also be vision, right? Your vision could impair your driving. Any disability that impairs your driving would kind of open up the avenue for this car grant and many, many other benefits that we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. Also, a couple of the other ones on here are a severe burn injury is on the list. ALS is on the list. The ankylosis that you talked about in both hips or knees, absolutely. And then obviously the amputation pieces. Now, as far as qualifying, it's important to remember that it must be service connected, like Clay said, and I just want to double tap on that. I mean, if you're not service connected for your diabetes, and then you ended up getting some leg foot issues, and you got your feet amputated for some reason because of the diabetes, but it's not service connected, you're not going to qualify based on that unless you get it service connected. So just something to think about. And that's why I think that both of us really stress, look, if you have a condition that is service connectable, get it service connected.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important thing because of all of the residual benefits that you can get sometimes, whether it's for you as you age, whether it's for your spouse when you pass away, whatever it is, make sure that you're getting service connected for these things.